Welcome to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Dick Weaver. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. We are happy that you have chosen to join with us here in the sanctuary and online for this Sabbath, this sanctuary in time. That you chose to gather and tune in here is something we celebrate. We extend an especially warm welcome to our visitors. Now I invite you to stand and turn and greet one another. Thank you. Now, Reverend Rose has a few announcements.
Actually, we just have two congregational announcements today. We'll start with Jim Christ, and then we have a message from the garden.
Good morning. Over the past few weeks, you've heard stewardship testimonials from members of SMUUCh about what the church means to them and why they are moved to pledge their financial support. There will likely be a couple more in weeks to come, and guess what? You're about to hear one now. But I'm not going to stand here and tell you all the reasons why I love this church community and why I choose to pledge my financial support. If I did that, we'd be here a very long time, and would probably have to order out for dinner for everyone. I come to you this morning with two special gifts. The first, data. I see some eyes lighting up out there, you use science believers, you. The second gift is a secret. Ooh, there go the rest of the eyes. First, data. Did you know that SMUUCh has a database? Well, we do. It's called Realm. And while many people scoff, I am a true blue Realm believer. You know, with a database, you can do things like run queries, analyze, create reports, and spreadsheets. And here's the data I'd like to share with you this morning. For each person in our database, there's a descriptor field called member status, indicating that person's relationship to the church. You can be a member, a friend, a guest, a visitor, or a participant. There is also a field called individual status, which can be active or inactive. So here's what the data currently shows. Our database contains well over 900 active individuals. When you add in the children, it's well over 1,000 people. There are 255 members and 477 friends, guests, participants, and visitors. If you're adding those up, they don't come up to 900. The balance is made up of other categories, the classification of which challenges the comprehension of the mortal mind. So we'll set those aside for now. Having delivered the data, I can now reveal the secret. Ready? You do not have to be a member of SMUUCh to make a financial pledge. Whoa! Let's let that sink in for a minute. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Let's say it together. I do not have to be a member of SMUUCh to make a financial pledge. Again, I do not have to be a member of SMUUCh to make a financial pledge. And now those of you watching at home, online, you need to say it too. And remember, Google is watching. I do not have to be a member of SMUUCh to make a financial pledge. That's right. If you've been attending SMUUCh recently and regularly, whether in person or online, and you're not a member of the congregation, this is my message for you today. We need your money too. But you say, why is a pledge so important? Can't I just put money in the offering basket on Sunday? Isn't that enough? To that I say, yes, putting money in the offering basket on Sunday is a very good thing, but a pledge is so much more. With your pledge, we can plan what we need to spend. We can forecast church income and strategically apply church resources where they will do the most good. So friends, guests, participants, and visitors, here is my pitch for you. Consider making a financial pledge for the coming year. If your heart is with us and you have the means, consider making a financial pledge. If you value a place that hosts the only homeless shelter for single adults in the richest county in Kansas, consider making a financial pledge. If you value a place that provides thousands of pounds of food to thousands of food insecure individuals every month, consider making a financial pledge. If you value a place where children can receive fact-based sexuality education or learn about world religions without being indoctrinated into one of them, consider making a financial pledge. If you value a place where a 14-year-old can speak openly and honestly about their sexuality or their gender identity without being harassed, shamed, or bullied, consider making a financial pledge. If you value a place where a 50-year-old man at the end of his rope can finally accept himself, come out as gay, live his authentic life, steer the Titanic that is his life away from the approaching iceberg, and manage to live happily ever after, consider making a financial pledge. Your pledge does not have to be a lot of money, but every dollar matters. If our 477 guests, participants, and visitors could pledge only $19.99 a month, about the amount of a Netflix premium subscription, it would generate well over $100,000 for the work this church does. So this is the time, members and friends and everyone else, to put your money where your heart is and make a financial pledge to support our church and the wonderful work we do. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. You can set your pledge up online at this link right there. on the wall. You don't have to remember it. Take out your phone. You'll never hear this in church again. Take your phone out now. I know you've got it. Pull it out. Turn on the camera. And you might turn off that little volume thing too. Turn on the camera. And take a picture right now. Wasn't that easy? You can set up your pledge online at this link. You don't have to remember it. You don't even have to log into Realm. Just do it. If you don't want to set your pledge up online, we have paper forms. Out in the welcome area, you can fill one out with a non-electronic pencil or pen and drop it into the secure drop box outside of the office just across from our gender-neutral restrooms. In a world filled with war and hatred and distrust and division, it may seem overwhelming at times, but you can make a difference. This is how. Thank you.
Good morning, SMUUChers. Jay Mitchell here. Reverend Rose told me to keep it short today, so. 2 short announcements. We've celebrated 3 months of participating with Food Cycle KC in recycling food waste and turning it into compost. We collect everybody, whether you're a member or a non-member, or a friend, an acquaintance, or an alien. You can drop off your food waste in the green recycle bin just west of the north entrance. We've collected almost 3,000 pounds so far, which is 3,000 pounds that has not gone into a landfill, and will go up to a teaching garden in KC, in KCK, and will become compost that will come back here to our garden. Number 2, speaking of the garden, I'll put on my Hope's Harvest garden hat. Finally, the weather's changing, and we're able to start getting our garden prepped and planted. We welcome all individuals to join us, regardless of your age, your ability, your experience level. It doesn't matter. I have a young mom tomorrow who's bringing her 6-year-old, and they're homeschooling, and this is becoming part of their homeschool curriculum. If you're interested at all, you can find me on Realm.
Our opening words today come from Viktor Frankl, who says, "It does not really matter what we expect from life, but rather what life expects from us." Come, let us worship.
Good morning. Our first hymn this morning is number 318, "We Would Be One." Please rise as you are willing and able.
am here under the stewardship moment somewhere, I think.
This way, this way.
Oh, okay. As Betsy Edmonds comes forward to light our chalice, we invite you to join in reading our covenant, projected on the wall behind me. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another. Each month, we as a community take time to reflect on a theme. The children do this in their classes, and we do this here in worship and in our small groups. This month, the theme is awakening. When I was pastoring a church, I dreaded preaching on Easter. There it was, the highest holy day in the church, to celebrate the heart of the Christian message, and I couldn't be enthusiastic about it. My difficulty was not the message itself, that we are unconditionally loved. When a minister colleague speaking here recently said that he loved to preach on Easter because the message was one of love, I understood. The message of unconditional love was not my problem. My problem was the way the Easter story said the love was given or delivered. The Redeemer myth or the Redeemer story is that God so loved the world that he gave Jesus to die so that we get eternal life instead of eternal punishment. I get it. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for another person or group. God requiring Jesus to die so God doesn't have to punish us, not so much. So at Easter, I ignored the Redeemer story and preached on the Velveteen Rabbit. And like the Velveteen Rabbit, becoming real and being all we can be by accepting oneself as loved and loving in return. As churches go, I served one on the liberal end of the spectrum. My efforts to preach the Easter message of unconditional love by reinterpreting the package it came in was tolerated. But I was forever having to reinterpret the Easter story and other mythical stories in the Bible so they would make sense to me and be a message I could proclaim. And don't even get me started on the hymns. I love the hymns. Singing them brings me strength and comfort. But the words, I was forever needing to interpret them, to translate them in order to sing them. Then, well, it goes on and on. About the time I retired, a Sunday school class I attended started an amazing spiritual journey of exploring their faith. Part of our journey was to connect with All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That connection was continued in earnest here at SMUUCh, once Joyce and I moved to Kansas City. At last, a church where the message I learned and loved in the church, that all life, and my life in particular, could be embraced and lived as sacred and meaningful, could be participated in without the need for constant reinterpretation. I felt as if I had awakened. Awakened, yes, to Unitarian Universalism, but also awakened to its principles, the fundamental worth and dignity of every person, the interdependent web of all life and my participation in it, and my personal favorite, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. At last, I can be enthusiastic about my faith.
Can I have all kiddos of all ages who are willing and able to come sit up here with me for Time for All Ages? Good morning. Fun. Lots of people, I love it. So we have a little special thing going on with Mr. Neil and Rev Rose. So when everybody's ready, we'll get started.
Miss Patrice, may I say something? Rev Rose, I didn't want to bring this up today, but it's time. I'm chiller than you are. I'm calmer than you. I'm more reposed.
Excuse you. I don't think that's possible. I'm the chillest.
Oh, it's very possible. I'm calm. I'm chill. I've got it going on.
Oh no, Mr. Neil, you are the drama.
You're the drama!
Whoa, Rev Rose, Mr. Neil, can we take a step back and rest? Thank you. Can we, please? Can you show me your rest with your fists? So this is a musical term too. Do you all know what a rest is? Joel, do you want to share what it is?
A rest is a musical note. It's used for silence for one term, like thing, like one period, like a short period of time.
That's way better than I would have explained it. Thank you, Joel, so much for doing that. Yes, musical man over here. So let's take a step back and rest real quick with some breathing. Rev Rose and Mr. Neil really need this, don't they? So let's close our eyes, relax our hands on our thighs. We're going to take 3 deep breaths. So we're going to go in through our nose and release through our mouths. And again. And one last time, make it count. Thank you so much for all resting. Now that Joel already explained this, the note, I don't think Mr. Neil needs to share about it, or do you want to?
I'll say a little something. I feel much better having rested. Thank you for leading us in that. And thank you for such a beautiful explanation of what a rest is in music. When we think of music, we think of noise and sound, but those moments of silence are really crucial to making our song. And Patrice is holding the example of a rest in music. So our chant that we've been speaking together in worship the last few weeks has a rest in it. Let's do it together. We can make a difference, gonna change the world, we're gonna change the world, we're gonna make the world a better world. So right before change, there's a little lift. Do y'all sense that? Gonna change, gonna change. These rests in music also give us rhythm. a little spice to the sound. So we are going to do this chant, but we are going to lengthen the rest. Because oftentimes in music, a rest is a place where singers can breathe, but also cellos need to breathe too. So let's expand this rest. We can make a difference, gonna change the world, gonna change the world. We're gonna make the world a better world. Thank you for resting in music.
Thank you for sharing that, Neil. Now that we've rested and learned a little about resting and a rest, I have a riddle for you all. You ready? Okay. You don't know the riddle yet. Music is when is music listening? When is music listening? Andre?
When somebody's playing a song?
Ooh, that's a good one. Don't you think we would be listening, right, if someone's playing a song? Yes. Joy, maybe?
Like, if you're a singer and you're waiting for it to be the right time to start singing.
Ooh, that was a good one too, Joy. We're getting closer. Well, we're talking about a rest, right? Right up there. Oh, do we maybe have someone else?
You can close your eyes.
Ooh, yeah, you close your eyes and listen. We got one last person who, you think you got this riddle solved?
When you have a rest.
Yay! Good job. So when we're listening to music, right, when is the music listening? Is when we have a rest. That's when they're practicing deep, active listening, right? And it brings along the song, makes it so beautiful. So, as you can see, Rev, Rose, and Neil and their fight, they had to step back and they had to take a rest, right, y'all? Do you feel a little better? There might be some arguments after church. We'll have to see how that goes. But stepping back from anger, pausing and taking a breath, great job, y'all. And just like music, it can be silent when we rest. It can be also loud. Sometimes music is calm and slow. Sometimes it's upbeat. There is music from all over the world. All cultures create music, and different styles of music at that. And each have to have rests in them, right, to create our music. So some examples would be mariachi bands, Mexican music, tube and throat singing is from Central Asia. Jazz was created by African Americans right here in Kansas City. There's polka, salsa, bachata, merengue, which are some different Latinx music, the waltz, and so much more. Does anybody have any special music that you didn't hear me say that you want to say to everybody that's your favorite music?
I like Ariel.
Ooh, who doesn't like Disney Channel? Disney music is definitely a genre, so. Did you have one?
Rock music.
Rock! Yeah, like Squirrely.
Pop music.
Pop?
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol music. Oh, that's its own special genre, too. Ooh. Opera! Thank you. We'll do one more. You have one more, Lolly.
Aurora.
Oh, another Disney one. I love it. Okay. So like I said, every style of music has to have rest. You can't have a good, full, beautiful music without rest. They create rhythm. To me, this is like the beloved community. Do you all know what the beloved community is? You guys very much are the beloved community. I see it. It's when we celebrate, appreciate, and accept everyone's different backgrounds, races, ethnicities, religions, and abilities. Because that's what makes the beloved community so beautiful. All of these different backgrounds bring so many experiences, skill sets, excellences, art forms to create this beautiful, beloved community. And every single part of that community should be celebrated, and diversity should be respected. We can do so by being able to pause or take a rest when someone is different than you and be non-judgmental as possible. So that is what Rev Rose and Neil did. Hopefully they can talk calmer after church. Just like that, sometimes we do overreact, right? Get offended. Children, adults, reverends, everybody can get offended. So, if we rest, we can oftentimes speak better. It's all about our delivery, tone, and timing, just like in music. I think everyone deserves to be listened to. So if you're angry and you're wanting to deliver something that's important, the first thing you can do is to take a deep breath. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which helps you center yourself, calm yourself, and prepare. This rest is also listening. So thank you all for listening and resting. Now we're going to go on to RE.
Okay, you can follow Miss Patrice. This is the time in our order of service where we draw to heart and mind those in our midst who are suffering and those who feel the sweet relief of our burdens easing. I invite you to put your feet flat on the floor. Today we think of our beautiful earth. Our earth, which is the basis of all life, which sustains and generates us and every living being. We sit in awe of the web that sustains us. We extend our gratitude to the rains, as forceful as they may be, for bringing green buds and standing water to the plains. We recommit ourselves to the earth, remembering that everything flows from its health. we untangle ourselves from a relationship with the earth that no longer serves humanity or life itself. And as always, we rejoice over the earth's exquisite beauty, as small or life-changing as each piece of beauty may be. You may open your eyes. I now invite you to come forward and briefly share in 2 to 3 sentences a rare joy or a profound sorrow and light a candle.
I'm Merlin Ring. I'm going to have heart bypass surgery a week from Monday. So anyway, thoughts and prayers appreciated.
Hi, my name's Annette, and after 37 years of working at Deluxe Financial Services at Deluxe Check Printers, I'm retiring next Friday.
Wow.
I'm Jean Groth, and I'm just so happy. Recently, we had our family Passover Seder, and although I way overcooked the tzimmus and way undercooked the potato kugel, that didn't matter because the chocolate-covered matzah for dessert was enjoyed. And I had 3 times I enjoyed the same party, setting it all up in anticipation, then being there, and I'm taking my time cleaning up after it.
That's good.
I'm Melissa Mosey, and I had my bone marrow biopsy this past Friday. It went well. So just lighting a candle of hope for my results, which should be coming in a couple weeks, and hopefully a plan for treatment.
My name is Bonnie. Bonnie Till. I've been a Unitarian since 1975, but I'm new to this congregation, and this morning I'd like to share that over the years that my husband and I have been married, we've hosted many high school exchange students, 2 of whom were Ukrainian, and I want to light a candle for each of them this morning. Andrei Husti is in Finland with his wife and children, and I will light his candle. He's safe. And our second student is Yelena Yermashova. She and her husband and their daughter are hunkered down in the Carpathian Mountains. I'm hoping she will leave, but she does not want to leave him. This is for Yelena. I can talk with her on Gmail, though. It's a miracle of the world.
Thank you.
I'm Sarah Mendez. A student. I'm Sarah Mendez. A student was going to hit me on Friday, and he was coming at me with his whole body, and he stopped himself mid-swing and slammed into the wall instead. I don't know how he redirected himself, but he did, and because he was going after my head, so it wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably be at the doctor still. But he's 6, and he managed to stop himself, and I honestly don't know how he did.
I'm lighting a candle for Miss Jerry Murphy, who's here today, who got a diagnosis of cancer and is going to be receiving aggressive treatment, and she welcomes cards, calls, and hugs. I light 2 remaining candles for all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. And now, because today we are speaking of silence, we will do as our Quaker cousins do, and we will command our souls to be still. So let us be silent, eyes closed, held by the space for 1 minute. Blessed be, and amen. Please remain seated for our meditative hymn.
Our reading today is All I Really Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten by Robert Fulghum. All I really needed to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile in Sunday school. These are the things I learned. Share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people, or bite them in my case. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some, think some, and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day, some. Take a nap every afternoon. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic, hold hands, and stick together. Be aware of wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup. The roots go down and the plant goes up, and nobody really knows how or why. But we are all like that. Goldfish and hamsters and white mice, even the little seed in the styrofoam cup, they all die. So do we. And then remember the kids' books and the first word you learned. The biggest word of all, look. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule and love and basic sanitation, ecology and politics and equality and sane living. Take any of these items and extrapolate it into sophisticated adult terms and apply it to your family life or your work or your government or your world, and it holds true and clear and firm. Think what a better world it would be if the whole world, had cookies and milk about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then laid down with our blankies for a nap. Or if all governments had a basic policy to always put things back where they found them and to clean up their own messes. And it's still true no matter how old you are. When you go out into the world, it's best to hold hands and stick together.
When did you last truly listen to the world around you? Listen without expectation, without worry. When was the last time you were outside of time? Observing, open to receiving, not passing judgments. When was the last time your mind and body and soul truly rested like this? Experiencing your reality and your community and the earth as it is from a place of restfulness in yourself. Resting is difficult for us as a society. We have very deeply embedded messages in our culture that tell us that more is more, that productivity is intimately linked to our worth, and that there is shame in not being able. But what if I were to tell you truly that you did need to take a nap for 30 minutes every day? That you were to have milk and cookies, or your dietary equivalent, at 3 p.m. every day, and then lay down and close your eyes, possibly with your blankie, for 30 minutes. You might say, I could never do that. You might say, there is too much to do. But when we do not allow ourselves the proper amount of rest, we are creating problems beyond our sight, not only for our bodies, which literally need sleep in order to function, but also for our spirituality, our communities, and our earth. Because resting, pausing, breathing, listening, waiting, being intentional, daydreaming, imagining, and having peace are all fundamental to our survival. For we must not only do, but also be. We're not human doings, after all. We are human beings. And this, our innate existence, is enough and can be enough if we are willing to step off the hamster wheel and instead to receive, heal, and rest. But oh, is it difficult for us to do? For each and every one of us. As Patrice said, even for us reverends. I have a funny memory of when I was in seminary in a preaching class. Here we were, learning to do the most, being trained to speak evocatively, to become the outpouring of clarity, the beacon of productivity. In this class, we would all write our little sermons and then preach them to each other. And it became apparent to our professor that some of us were getting antsy while other people were preaching. And I will never forget the advice we were given. We were told that when someone else is preaching, it is simply just not your turn. Those are the words they said. It's just not your turn right now. Because even while listening to some of New York City's most incredible preachers, we were still not enjoying the listening. We were not relaxing into the gift of receiving. We were thinking, moving towards our own productivity. And this really cracks me up because this is advice that you would give to a kindergartner, not a room full of spiritual leaders, many of whom had been working as preachers and ministers in big pulpits for decades before taking this class. I tell you this because I think this is something that we all struggle with in our society and just as humans. I actually have found it so difficult in myself to listen to the world around me that I once was silent for 10 days. I went on a retreat where I was to take an extended rest from the noise and the production of the world, to be alone with my thoughts and to have silence. So much silence, in fact, so much abstinence from the energy it takes to process information that I did not even read. Let me tell you a little bit about this retreat. It began when I was shown to my room, where I met two other young women who were lodging in beds parallel to mine, and we began our new way of relating to each other in silence. We did not introduce ourselves, for we had been instructed to not even gesture or make deliberate eye contact, but instead to just coexist in silence and deference for each other's presence. Now, the first few days were truly excruciating. I crawled right out of my skin. I read the ingredients list on the tube of toothpaste. That's how desperate I was, for I could hardly stand the moments passing me by without distractions for my mind. Because silence and rest can be scary. It really can be when we have so much that we do not address in our bodies and brains that are not accustomed to resting, when we are not allowed to have Sabbaths, truly. This level of silence and listening and resting that I was undertaking on this retreat is scary. And indeed, on the fourth day, I woke up and there were two little wheel tracks in the newly fallen snow made by a rolly suitcase where one of my roommates had fled in the night. Back to her busy, busy waiting life. I managed to withstand the urge to flee, and by day 7, I felt a profound shift. I no longer sought those distractions. I no longer felt such a craving for the noise. Instead, I wandered outside to the wet spring hillside and noticed how the water droplets wobbled while gathering weight on the pine trees, and I listened as my body breathed, and I waited for moments to pass and I felt like a child again, restful, not sleeping, not laying down, but resting my weary soul from the grind, relishing my life, enjoying the presence of myself and my surroundings, creating a balance, a rhythm. I began to realize that I had been missing a lot from my life, and thus I began listening as if for my life. Then at the end of the retreat, I will not forget the moment when it came time to meet my roommate in the regular way, with whom I had lived for 10 days. I did not know her name. We spoke for about 5 minutes, acknowledged that we had both read the toothpaste tube, and by the end of it, my body was shaking. I was emotionally flooded, and I very much wanted to rest. And I'm about as extroverted as you can get. It made me see how very loud our worlds really are. The music of our society is deafening, literally. The music of our society does not barely have rests, and thus our rhythm is way off. For if you have been doubting these words this entire sermon, hear me say that until we rest, the earth cannot. For when we rest, less resources are extracted, the earth is allowed to heal, regenerate, be fallow, to simply be. I've told you this story, and I'll tell it to you again, that in March of 2020, when a great pause was forced upon us by public health, and the commerce stopped and we sheltered in place for the first time in the pandemic, the roads were empty, the planes stayed grounded, and the factories quit chugging. Did you know that for the first time in decades, there was a notable earthly silence? We know this because there are scientists who study earthquakes, called seismologists, who have delicate sound sensors deep in the cold, trickling layers of the earth. And when the pandemic hit and the hustle and bustle stopped, do you know what they could hear? They could hear the great earth creaking. They could hear all those plates scraping and moving. Indeed, on Earth Day, we must acknowledge that our Earth is crying out for a rest right now, a break from the amount of noise and urgency and grinding that is occurring at a loud level, more than ever before in Earth's history. Yes, public health required that we stopped in March of 2020, but public health demands that we stop now as well. Of course, the earth is being stretched beyond its limits of sustainability, which is the biggest public health crisis probably ever. But also in terms of the human family, us being able to heal from some of the more troubling issues that plague us as a society. But how do we rest? I think is a question that each of us needs to think about. Well, we could start with the cookies and the milk and the blankies at 3 p.m., becoming useless for a moment, and just enjoying this time we have here on earth. But because we are so unaccustomed to resting, I'd like to present you with one technique that I think is very potent in closing, and it was what I practiced on my 10-day meditation retreat. It is called mindfulness. I'm sure many of you have heard of mindfulness, but you may not know that mindfulness is actually something that your brain craves. Not just your mind, but the actual fleshy, wrinkled organ inside of your head depends on you being present in order for its other necessary functions to really occur. The more that one is mindful, actually, the more gray matter shows up on your brain imaging, and the denser your brain becomes. The more wrinkles form and the healthier your brain is. Indeed, this is why my first few days on that silent meditation retreat were so excruciating, because my brain was not accustomed to being mindful, but quickly, me and my brain both realized together how much more enjoyable life was when I privileged my own ability to be mindful and restful. So we're just going to try one mindfulness technique right now to help your brain and body get the signal that it's actually okay to just be. These are good to use to fall asleep, good when you're outside, anytime you're having stress, anytime you're not able to know that your thoughts are not you. This is a good thing to do. These are techniques you can use anytime you feel that feeling that you cannot stop your thoughts, anytime you're about to think about that perfect rebuttal. These are things you can do when you're scared or when the music of your life is just off rhythm. So let us close our eyes, remembering that we are resting and being mindful not just for ourselves, but for the earth, for the others who need to be heard, and for the beloved community. We will do this for 30 seconds. You are going to imagine that you have a handful of helium balloons. You can feel them pulling you up. And then every thought you have, you're going to put it in a balloon and you're going to watch it fly up into the sky. You may open your eyes. You can do that at any time, for the music of your life should be enjoyable, it should be engaging, inspiring, and as varied as your multitudes. Your life should be not only like a bird's morning song, but also a screamo rock concert, a salsa, the blues, a lullaby, all of which include resting. Let us be like the rests, like the breath in life's endless song. Let it be a dance. Listen as if for our lives, the rhythms for the rests. Blessed be, and amen.
The work of the church depends on us. Contributions of time, talent, and financial resources. These we offer in grateful appreciation of our shared values. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us in our hearts until we are together again.
Please rise.
This week, I invite you to take a nap with milk and cookies and a blanket at least once. Go in peace.
Thank you.